I was born and bred in Baltimore, Maryland. A Chesapeake Bay girl, you know, and I always say I'm an East Coast preppy. I had the great good fortune to start studying very early as a young. I was an adopted only child of parents who were much older than most parents, and my father got me into a class because I was not talkative. I was 4 years old when I was adopted, so I didn't talk very much at all. I was very shy, and he had a friend named Isabel Berger who taught creative drama for children. Almost the basis of everything I do in theater comes from there. And that's in terms of vocal terms, movement terms, Shakespeare, the classics. I saw Judith Anderson in Medea, and I'd never seen anything like that before. I must have been 12, 13, something like that. And I met her. So we went back and they knocked on the door, and this was in Ford's Theater in Baltimore, and this little boy said, "Come in." And she was little. She was only about 5 foot tall. She played Big Mama too. And we walked in. It was one of these old, wonderful dressing rooms, the old way, you know, with the lamps and the curtains. And she was on this little kind of chaise thing, and she had a cigarette and a glass of white wine. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to do Greek tragedy, and 15 minutes later just say, "Come in." Because my parents, though they loved me doing this work with Isabel, they didn't want me to have a career in theater. My mother said, "Well, I think you should just go to college and meet some nice young lawyer or a doctor, and then you can, you know, then you can do that as a hobby." And then I went on to my, I kind of veered off and went into law enforcement. I was a policewoman for the city of Baltimore for 3.5 years, which is a much longer story than we have here. Always knew that I was going to get back to theater somehow, but I just didn't quite know how that was going. I didn't know it was going to take so long because I married a naval aviator and left the department, obviously, and had 4 children and spent the next 20 years not working, you know.
Biggest regret?
Maybe that I would have liked to have had one of my own children. I never knew I wanted one until I married Joe and his kids were around. And then I thought, that would be nice. Have one from the very beginning. And when we got to Tucson, Arizona, my husband was the commanding officer of the Naval Marine Corps Reserve Training Centers in Arizona. And a friend called me and said, "Well, they have theater, a Lord Theater, and film and television, and get your resume out." Well, of course, I had the resume of an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, you know. So that wasn't going to do me very much good at 44. So that's when I came back into business, at 44. So for women who say that they can't make changes in their lives, that they can. I just kept filling my resume up because I didn't have one, so I had to say yes to almost everything that was offered because I needed to kind of, you know, have something to show people. Otherwise, they would say, "Well, where have you been?" You know. And film and television at that time, a television agent said to me, "Oh, you'll never get any work, because you're over 35, my dear." So, but that was wrong too. So, there you are. And Isabel Berger said to me, "You'll never get the roles you're meant to do until you're 40. And of course, when you're 20, you just think you're going to die. You know, I'll be dead by then." Because I think that Amy Herzog is a really, really fine writer, and also because I think a role like this rarely comes around for someone in my category, in my age. And what did she say?
You know, as long as I was in college, she was happy, so I think she just shut up.
Well, she and I don't talk about politics anymore. I always wind up telling her how disappointing she was to her father. I don't mean to, but somehow or other I wind up saying it.